In a brazen act of aggression, Iran unleashed a massive missile barrage on Israel, marking a dangerous escalation in the long-standing conflict between the two nations. The attack, which involved over 180 missiles, targeted strategic locations in central and southern Israel, sending shockwaves through the region and the world. While Israel's Iron Dome defense system managed to intercept a significant number of the incoming projectiles, several missiles evaded the defense system, striking populated areas. The attack left a trail of destruction in its wake, with buildings damaged and residents shaken to their core. Emergency services rushed to provide medical aid and assess the extent of the damage. The attack sent a clear message. Iran was willing to cross a significant red line and bring the conflict to Israel's doorstep. The attack, which occurred in the early hours of the morning, caught many Israelis off guard. While the nation is no stranger to threats from its neighbors, the sheer scale and audacity of the attack were unprecedented. The immediate aftermath of the attack was one of shock and disbelief, followed by a steely resolve to respond decisively to the Iranian aggression. The attack served as a stark reminder of the volatile situation in the Middle East and the ever-present threat posed by Iran's ballistic missile program. Iran's decision to launch such a brazen attack on Israel was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was a calculated move, rooted in a complex web of regional tensions and strategic calculations. In the weeks leading up to the attack, tensions between Iran and Israel had been steadily escalating, fueled by a series of tit-for-tat strikes and assassinations. A key trigger for the Iranian attack was the recent assassination of a high-ranking Iranian military commander in Syria. The commander, a key figure in Iran's overseas operations, was killed in an airstrike that Iran attributed to Israel. The assassination was a major blow to Iran, both symbolically and operationally, and it fueled a desire for revenge. Iran's decision to launch a direct attack on Israel was also driven by a desire to send a message of deterrence to Israel and its allies, particularly the United States. By demonstrating its willingness to strike at the heart of Israel, Iran sought to project an image of strength and resolve. The attack was also seen as a way for Iran to bolster its position in the region. By striking at Israel, Iran aimed to shore up its support among its allies and proxies, while simultaneously driving a wedge between Israel and its Arab neighbors. Israel's response to the Iranian missile attack was swift and decisive, as the nation vowed to defend itself against what it perceived as an act of war. Within hours of the initial attack, Israeli fighter jets were scrambled to carry out retaliatory airstrikes against targets inside Iran. The Israeli Defense Forces confirmed that their targets included Iranian military installations, weapons depots, and command and control centers. The strikes were intended to degrade Iran's military capabilities and send a clear message that Israel would not tolerate any further aggression. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the nation shortly after the attacks, condemning Iran's actions as an act of war and vowing that Israel would respond with full force. Netanyahu reiterated Israel's long-standing policy of not allowing Iran to develop nuclear weapons and warned that Israel would take all necessary measures to defend itself. The IDF remained on high alert, bracing for the possibility of further Iranian retaliation. The situation remained extremely tense, with the potential for a wider conflict looming large. The international community watched with bated breath, urging both sides to show restraint and prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. Section 4. The world reacts. The international community reacted with a mixture of condemnation and concern as news of Iran's missile attack on Israel spread. World leaders issued statements calling for de-escalation and urging both sides to exercise restraint. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency meeting to address the escalating crisis. The United States, a staunch ally of Israel, condemned the Iranian attack in the strongest possible terms. President Joe Biden affirmed the United States' ironclad commitment to Israel's security and pledged unwavering support for Israel's right to defend itself. The European Union expressed deep concern over the situation and called for an immediate cessation of hostilities. The EU urged all parties to exercise maximum restraint and to engage in dialogue to prevent further escalation. The EU also reiterated its commitment to a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, recognizing that the ongoing conflict only served to exacerbate regional tensions. Russia, a key player in the Middle East, called for calm and restraint from both sides. China expressed concern over the escalating tensions and urged all parties to resolve their differences through dialogue and negotiation. Section 5. A history of conflict. The missile attack by Iran on Israel is the latest chapter in a long and bitter conflict that dates back decades. The roots of the conflict are complex and multifaceted, stemming from a combination of historical grievances, ideological differences, and geopolitical rivalries. The establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, on land claimed by Palestinians, created a fundamental point of contention in the region. Many in the Arab and Muslim world, including Iran, viewed Israel's creation as an illegitimate act and a threat to the regional order. Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution further deepened the divide between Iran and Israel. The new Islamic Republic, led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, adopted a vehemently anti-Israel stance, viewing Israel as an outpost of Western imperialism and a threat to Islam. The Iranian government threw its support behind Palestinian militant groups such as Hamas and Islamic Jihad, providing them with financial assistance, military training and weapons. Iran's support for these groups, which are committed to Israel's destruction, further inflamed tensions with Israel. Section 6. The road ahead. The immediate aftermath of Iran's missile attack on Israel is a time of heightened uncertainty and anxiety. The situation remains extremely volatile, and the potential for further escalation is a real and present danger. The international community faces the daunting task of containing the crisis and preventing a wider conflagration. Diplomatic efforts will be crucial in the coming days and weeks. World leaders must engage in intensive shuttle diplomacy, urging both sides to step back from the brink and pursue a peaceful resolution to the crisis. The United States, given its close ties to both Israel and Arab states in the region, will need to play a leading role in these diplomatic efforts. The US must leverage its influence to persuade both sides to exercise restraint and to seek a negotiated settlement. The international community must also address the underlying issues that fuel the conflict between Iran and Israel. This includes addressing Iran's nuclear program, which Israel views as an existential threat. It also means addressing the plight of the Palestinians, who have long been caught in the crossfire of the conflict.